Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Trash Talk. Let me get popping in here. Hello. How's it going, you guys? Before we start, first and foremost, this podcast is founded, takes place on Treaty 7 land, part of the Blackfoot Confederation, the Blackfoot Territory. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get started, I got Baena in the waiting room there. Before we get started, I'm going to run through these sponsors. So, of course, Cursed Earth Apparel and Print, Octave Studios, Medicine Hat, Intrinsic Productions in Edmonton, Apply Within Audio Lethbridge. That's where I got this sweet little microphone. Thank you, Gigi. Saved me a couple $100 by giving me this microphone, and I really appreciate that. Also, Armstrong Metal Fest, Decimate Metal Fest, Loud as Hell Festival, Intersect Arts and Music Festival, Camp Misfit Clothing in Edmonton, Mountain Bistro Pizzeria Bragg Creek, as well as Absolute Underground Magazine. I got to really add the rest of those to the list. By the time I get to the bottom, I just remember them. They click, and it's like, oh, shit, I better say those ones, too. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. I got Baena from Carcosa. He's a very, very busy fella, but he has time for us, and I'm very grateful for that because he's got some interesting stuff going on, and I really want to let you guys in on it because it's killer. We're going to see Carcosa at Loud as Hell this weekend, and you can bet your ass they're going to have the sickest fucking outfits on. And I hope Johnny C is going to be wearing that bucket hat again. And it's going to be a banger weekend. I'm pumped. I'm so pumped for Loud as Hell this year. So I'm going to quit talking you guys' ear off. Let's get into this.
Boiled fish. Boiled carrots.
Hey, I'm Nate Trash. Welcome back to another episode of Trash Talk. Yes, I am Nate Trash. And this... yeah, we're good. And this is Andrew Baena from Carcosa. Baena, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, man. I see all your your deadly content. I see your wicked guitar videos. You're getting new Aristides, Ash and Titties. You're getting the new deliciousness. Like, it seems like every day of the week you're getting a new color of guitar.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. I definitely would not have anticipated this when I was a kid starting a YouTube channel, but here we are. And it's wild. I love it. I am very thankful I get to do what I do. And for people like you who want to talk to me about it, I appreciate it.
Hey, man, this is just like you. This is what I love. This is my life, man. And like the fact that I have a new band that's like checking off all the boxes of like not being toxic and getting the work done, you know, it just makes it all that more enjoyable to talk to people and to grow what we're doing and to build that scene back up again after the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's actually talk about those guitars. What's the deal? What's the parameters of getting those guitars? Because let's say it right out right now. You're not getting all of those guitars for free to keep all the time.
It depends on the brand. So for something like an Aristides, like obviously those aren't free because those guitars are like $4,000+ and they're like a smaller company and custom and all that. But it depends on the brand, right? So pretty much like what my main business is doing videos on YouTube, and basically like brands will either send me guitars to keep, or they'll send me ones that I have to send back to them and pay me, or sometimes they'll send me one to keep and pay me, or sometimes they'll give me a discount. Like it depends on basically like how much the instrument is worth. Like if it's if it's like a cheaper like $500 guitar, like the brand will probably just give it to me.
Just like a run, just one that's like a regular run guitar, but a custom color or something. Let's send this to Baena because
it's different every time. But yeah, pretty much like the premise of what I do, right, is like like I'm getting them for free, but it's not really for free because like the deal is like I'm making a video to advertise their gear for them in exchange for either a discount or pay or an instrument or some combination of the three.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do, and it depends on the company really, but yeah, and that's the only reason I have so many things, that's for sure. Because if I had to buy all of these full price, there's no fucking way.
Well, you are buying them. You are buying them because it's not like doing. It's not
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I try to be a content creator myself, and it's stressful, man. Like until you get that good workflow down, it's a lot of trial and error, and it's a lot of hit
for
and
sure.
miss. Like.
Yeah.
You know, I reach out to bigger musicians like you so that hopefully it will attract more people to my channel to promote the smaller musicians that I bring on my channel.
For sure, yeah.
Because in the end, that's the whole point of doing all of this is to promote the scene, because it seems like we got a blind spot in Western Canada, unless you're right in Vancouver, you know, and you are. So.
I'm in Abbotsford, but close enough.
You're just a stone's throw. You're a suburb.
Yeah.
But still, you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I get you.
And the reason why that is because it's a long drive, and it needs to be made. Not just profitable, but it needs to be made doable for the touring aspect. So there needs to be something that's going on here for the band to want to come tour here. And
right, exactly.
that means getting the numbers back up more, so that when these bands look for places to tour, they can be like, oh, sick, Alberta. These numbers are fucking popping right now. We got a book here.
Yeah, for sure.
But we got this mentality of like, oh, I hate Spotify because they only pay fractions of a cent. It's like, yeah, but with those numbers, you get bigger opportunities like sponsorships, festival placements. You can approach record labels saying, I have 20,000 listeners on Spotify.
For sure.
And through that, you develop the processes from which you profit.
Yeah, exactly. It's I assume you're on the same page as me then, where like I don't like seeing people complain about that either, because the other part of it too is like, the thing that I think is interesting about the main complaint about like Spotify, let's say, is like, sure, you're only making, you know, not very much money per play, but like, how many of those people would have never fucking heard of you if you weren't on Spotify? So
exactly, you cannot go to a festival promoter, a booking agent, a label, anybody, and say, hey, I sold 500 CDs in the last couple of shows, and like, because unless you can prove those, and to prove those numbers, they're not going to sit down and go through all these receipts to prove that.
Yeah, of course.
But Spotify has eliminated the need for a high-end individual or group to vouch for you on these numbers.
Definitely.
Because they're already doing it. It's and like people like, let's say, Matt Bacon from Dropout Media, he says right now that that's one of the most important metrics.
The monthly listeners, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's one that you can't really fudge with bots. You know.
Exactly.
You get 700 cell phones and have them all playing on different Spotify accounts. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen a band that they have a song that has 1 million plays, and you're like, oh, that's cool, but then you look at their monthly listeners,
37.
Like, oh, they have like 20. So clearly they paid someone to just listen to this one song, and then they never came back again. So you can't really, that's the one number, or one of the few numbers these days that you can't really fuck with, you know?
Well, and with online stuff, the numbers, all the metrics are there. So you can send all of them in right from the site. Panda Amazing, thanks for jumping in. That's my buddy Charles. He's in a band called Luminosity. They're fucking sick. They're gentle giants on the up and coming. They got the fucking, they know how to gent. They got that fucking thump down. Mags, thanks for jumping in. Mac, thanks for coming by, buddy. He says Carcosa is fire as fuck.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I totally agree. Nihilist fucking slaps. And the merch drop you guys went with, it was sick. I was like, I've been looking at the killer techniques on how to release new music, and you guys are right at the forefront of it. And for obvious reasons, because one of the case studies that I've kind of been looking at is Spirit Box's latest release, their cascading release on Spotify. And when you guys dropped the new logo in green,
Yeah.
And then you had the logo in orange, and then you got it in yellow. I was like, these guys are knocking it out of the fucking park. Like, this is just so good. You don't have to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars when you get designs. Get one guy in the band who can like learn and start doing it and figure out the cool ways to do it, because then you always get what you want, and you can manipulate it quick. You can change it quick, because
Definitely.
you don't it's one of the big things. You don't need to get a new piece of art for every release when you can just revamp the art that you've already got going on. So we're going to move up forward from that. He says, my buddy Max says he's going to hit you guys up and try to bring you guys to Indiana.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, we'd love to get tour anywhere in the States. We've been working on it in the background. It's a little hard for Canadian bands, but I'm sure we'll get over there at some point in time.
So easy for American bands to come up here.
I know, I'm jealous.
Oh,
man.
man.
I wish.
My friends in Lynx, they're going down to fucking Wisconsin for Pantera Tribute Festival, and they got it. They were just able to, yeah, we're just going to go down. And I think it's probably because they're only doing one show there. They're not like planning on going for a while.
Technically, no, but I don't want to talk about that and get them in trouble.
That's okay. That's okay.
So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. My friend Tanis, Beer Brew Babe, says she is stoked for the Restless drop tomorrow.
Ooh, thank you.
Very much pump. Mac is if you guys come down to Indiana, he's going to be right up front there, fucking banging it out. Buddy, if you're going to bring them down to Indiana, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to be backstage, like hanging out. That's kind of how these things go. You know, if you're the one bringing them down, you generally don't have to like pay cover and like go to the front of the stage and do the run. No. Security says he can't come back here, bud. Security even lets jackasses like me backstage, just because like they see the name on and stuff. They're like, okay, yeah, I guess you're allowed to come back.
Yeah, you have a press pass. It's fine.
Even when I opened for Cradle of Filth, before I had before the promoter gave me the all access, because it was such a quick like run around show. I was like outside talking to my friends, having a puff off my vape, and I would try to go back inside, and they were not letting me back in without a fucking pat down.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. I knew their boss for security. So I was like, all right, cool. I can do this. This is all right. But I really got to go in a hurry.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I mean, it's better that they're checking than they're not.
That's
right?
exactly what I did. I messaged him too. I was like, you got to give both of them a raise, because like they're not letting nobody in. They know exactly who the riffraff is. So let's talk about these guitars more. I kind of got a hard question for you.
Okay.
6, 7, 8, or 9?
Man, yeah, I get this all the time. Shit. Well, for Carcosa, we only use 8, so I feel like I have to say 8. But if I wasn't in Carcosa, I probably use 7 the most. I think. I could be wrong, but I think I feel like I use the 7-string or a 7-string the most. I also might be wrong, because oftentimes what I think and what I actually do is not the same thing. But I don't know. It's between 7 and 8 for sure. I have a hard time. Like with Carcosa, it's always 8. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff we play where I'm like, we probably don't need all 8 strings, but it's kind of like we've been using 8 strings forever, and I don't want to go back.
It's the aesthetic now.
Yeah, that too. 8 strings look fucking cool.
They look mean. Those big, fat, thick fucking fretboards look mean, man.
Yeah.
And like when you got your fingers stretched across them, those 9 strings too, it looks like you're fucking spanning the bridge, bud.
Yeah. It's the 9 string is definitely like pretty hard to play. Even though, what I play isn't necessarily that hard, but just even getting to the low frets is a little bit of a stretch for sure. But yeah, I don't know. 8 or 7 is my go-to depending on the situation. I very rarely play the 9 or the 6. Pretty much mostly only for covers more than anything. Like I almost never write original music on a 6 or a 9 unless like it's specifically for like a demo video or something like that.
Very nice. So yeah, I saw the 9-string video. That's why I had to throw that one in there. I was like, there's no way that this is comfortable for like a guy who didn't start out in their band playing this, there's no way it's comfortable. Like even in my own band is not really one to speak though, because when my guitar player bought his new guitar, it was a 6-string. And then he's like, well, we need the 7 strings. So he just took the top 6 strings off the 7 string and put them on his 6.
Mm-hmm.
But then he proceeded to scallop the fucking frets himself. So, and painted it himself. And he's like, I haven't even paid this guitar off yet. I'm like, well, you got to now. And he's like, I don't got a job. Like, I'm going on EI. Like, he's got a job now and everything's cool. We're playing the kickoff party on Thursday, and then he's like coming from work and then headed right back home. So he's gonna be playing. We're gonna be doing our imitation of "If Your Guitar Looks Like This, You're Gonna Die in the Pit," because he's gonna show up in his collared shirt and his glasses and looking like Joey Jojo.
Yeah.
And you think your music isn't hard to play? Whew. Wait till you hear "Horrify" with a W. Okay.
There you go.
With a W because we're a metal band. So, what's your favorite kind of content to create? I know that you and Johnny C and I gotta say, I'm gonna rip that video off here soon.
That's all good.
I'm gonna do like famous movie quotes from classic movies over wicked breakdowns, and I'm gonna get my buddy Matt Yeomans in on it. He's another wicked vocalist. Shout out to Matt Yeomans. He's going to be jumping on the new Horrify EP. But yeah, what's your favorite kind of content to create? The partners content or like your demo videos or the Carcosa videos?
Oh man, I don't know. That's such a fucking hard question. Lately, I guess I would say Carcosa in general, because like the memes are fun and the guitar demos are it's always fun opening a new guitar and playing it, obviously. But with Carcosa, like, I'm sure you can relate. Like,
that's
it's
the baby.
It's your own music, right? Like, it's my creation to some degree. Whereas, you know, a gear demo, they're fun and they're cool, but it's like, it isn't necessarily my art, if you will.
Yeah, it adds to the pizzazz.
Yeah.
But when you see those milestones being hit because Carcosa is releasing that content, like, I totally know how you feel, because having you on the show was one of my achievements.
Oh, nice.
You know, so like, I totally get it, man. It feels really good knocking those things out and doing the whole thing is it's honestly really satisfying to do. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I know you could never imagine when you started Galactic Pegasus that one day you were going to be making demo videos and like making advertisements for the companies that you were like pouring money into for your band.
Of course, yeah, exactly.
And now they're pouring money into you. Like, it's
wild, dude.
The only thing you can be about it is grateful. And if the ones who out there who aren't grateful for it, they don't last very long.
Definitely. You can tell. You can always tell.
Exactly.
And, yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm like anyone else. Like, there are some days where I will feel like, oh, like, I don't want to even make a video today. And then, you know, but when I stop and think about it, like, fuck, I'm lucky that I even get to do this at all. Like, I can't believe this is my job. What do I have to complain about, really? So yeah, it's I definitely try my hardest to stay grateful. And at the end of the day, like, even just like looking around my fucking room, I'm like, how did this happen? Like, I know how it happened, but like, sometimes it still doesn't feel real, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. And like, I see the YouTube plaque in the background, and I'm like, you know, hopefully one day I can get to a point where like I hit that roll, you know, where when I release stuff, it catches a little bit every time. Right. And you know, if I keep doing my stuff consistently, then I'm pretty sure I'll catch on to it. And if not, I'll keep adjusting until I do. But it's very discouraging in the beginning, you know. For sure. Yeah. Like, my videos on my YouTube page, at this point, I'm just uploading them for the sake of, like, I upload my interviews when I do them at shows. I upload them to all my social medias, and then I upload them to YouTube. And it's just a matter, I'm just going to keep doing it and see what happens, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, man. Like, I mean, I still feel that way, even on my channel. Like, unfortunately, I hope this isn't the case for you if slash when you ever get to the plaque or whatever it may be. But like for me, like I've always felt that way, and I always thought like, oh, when I get 100K, like then I'll be happy or
Yeah, and
whatever.
then it just
And
the
I
line
am, but
pushes.
it's just it's like a never ending finish line, I guess you could say. Like,
Yeah.
back in the day, if I would go back in time and tell myself like 10 years ago, like, that your videos are going to be getting like 100,000 views, I would be like, there's no fucking way that's not possible. Whereas now, sometimes I try not to think this way, but sometimes if a video like doesn't hit 10K, then I'm like, oh, it only got 9,000 views or something. And I'm like, that's a terrible way to think about it. But I try really hard not to. But every content creator I've ever talked to is like this, where they're so driven and they think like, oh, they have this number in mind, like when I hit this, that's when I'll be happy. And then you hit it and you're like, that's cool. What's next though? And it's just like never ending. But at the same
Yeah.
time, like that's what helps you stay driven. And to some degree, like why people like us make content is because we're always chasing that, almost that high, I guess you could say. But it also sometimes makes it so you don't realize the milestones when you hit them, because you just blow past them and are like immediately wanting the next thing, or at least I am. So
It's
it can be hard sometimes to like realize like, hey man, like you're doing pretty good, like you don't have to feel that way.
I think that's called like the law of diminishing returns or something.
Yeah, it's a mixture of that and like imposter syndrome is the other big one I hear about a lot,
That's
which I'm
yeah.
sure I have.
That one gets me a lot.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because I spend, unless I'm like working a show, going out to a show, at which I try to stay away from unless I'm going out to work the show, because I want to spend my time learning as much as I am applying,
Hmm.
So that means staying home and reading books and working on like dissecting press releases to see what's going to work to send out to blogs and stuff. And it does get discouraging when you submit to 100 blogs and you only get like 2 or 3 that want to write about you, right?
Hmm.
And then a bunch of
Yeah.
those aren't even like, a bunch of them aren't even in English, so you don't even know if they understood the email you sent to them or anything, because like grindcore only really hits in Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
But it is one of those things. And the way that I've like, because I was really bad for me in the beginning, and the way that I changed my mind about it was my success is based on how I can improve others, like how I can help others out in the scene and who come to me. Like even in an interview, this interview so much isn't going to help you out because you've got mountains more followers, subscribers, everything than I do. So this is definitely a favor to me, whether you don't see it that way. I still do, and my biggest thing is eventually I want to be able to take a small band that I really like, that works really hard, and be able to put them on the show, do an interview with them, and see their numbers go up and see a new
Right.
audience come to them, and
For
be
sure.
like a
Yeah.
launching platform, kind of like what you do with when you do the reviews on your YouTube channel, like what Nick Nocturnal does.
Mhm. Yeah.
Shout out to Big Nick. That guy is a superhero, man. Like
I love Nick.
I've been trying to figure out, like, how do I get a hold of this guy? How do I reach out to him? So I'm in the Discord, I'm watching the Discord, and like I'm looking for my perfect chance to send one of my songs in or reach out to him. But
Mhm.
I found out that one of my good friends, Crucifix, the Satanic Tea Lord,
Mhm.
Satanic Tico, he has the same,
Oh, okay. I know who that is.
yeah, he has the same publicist or the same, one of those
Sure. Yeah.
as Nick. So I
Oh,
was like,
cool.
cool, well, maybe I can make this work. Let's just put a little more work into this and let's see if we can get the numbers up a little bit more so we can make it a bit more appealing for Nick.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to view things as well. And like obviously like a lot of what I do is because it's my job and it's servicing myself, of course. But I do over forever, like even in GP, like I've always tried to keep in mind, like, it's not like this happened solely because of myself or solely because of only the people in my band. Like we had a lot of help too. Like again, shout out to Nick Nocturnal. Like he has helped Carcosa so much. And tons of other people along the way. And, I always try and keep that in mind as well. And like, not that I necessarily do it all the time, but like if an opportunity arises to help someone else, then like I try my best to take it whenever I can,
And that's another thing
within
too.
reason, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go out of your way all the time to try and help smaller bands, because
Hmm.
if there's one thing that I've noticed being in my first band, like I said, very toxic. One of the things that was toxic about us was that we didn't put in the work for the opportunities that were offered to us. We were offered lots of opportunities, and we didn't do what was asked of us in order to really take those opportunities and run with them. You know, and the help that we got, we could have done so much with. So now
Hmm.
it's always for me, it's always, what can I do in order to give this person more than just being a part of a band and playing a show for them.
Right. Yeah.
When I approach promoters to try and get on big shows, and like, you know, we opened for Cradle of Filth at the end of May, and that was a huge shock to us. But when I talked to the promoters and I talked to everybody, the professionals about it, who gave me the advice on how to approach, it wasn't surprising to them. You know,
Hmm.
they're like, look what you had to offer and look what you did for us. And it's like, okay,
Right.
so now then you start to see what bands are missing, and I do my best to let them know, like, hey, if you stick on this and if you pay more attention to this, you'll be able to go further when you do this, you know, like,
Hmm.
I know it works this way because my band has done it. These bigger bands are doing it. These people are doing it. And a lot of times a lot of smaller bands, they don't think that's going to help them in any way. And it's not their fault. A lot of bands think that they're going to be the ones with the newest, unique, most special, like, I'm going to get discovered.
Hmm.
So I will wait for the opportunities. Like, I'll wait for shows to
Yeah.
come to me instead of going out to ask for shows.
For sure. And like, I mean, even, you know, I'm sure you and I have probably made that mistake sometimes as well. Like, it happens to everybody, like, to some degree. Like, how would you know? But if you do know or are told, like, it's on you to do something about it. And if you don't
Yeah,
do something, then okay, well, that's your own fault at that point to some degree, right?
exactly. And it's like, you know, whether you believe me or not, and not obviously not you, but some of the smaller bands I'm talking to, and there's a couple younger bands in this city. There's a pop punk band called Ill Defined. Bunch of young kids, a couple of them just graduated this year. The rest of them just graduated the year before, and
Cool.
like, they're tearing it up. They're doing what they need to do. They're on TikTok. They're doing the proper videos with their music in the background. They're jumping on the
Mhm.
trends. They're interacting. They're doing proper, like, promo releases. When they get put on a show, they throw their own picture on it, and then like launch their own promo to go with it. And you know,
Mhm.
some people might see that as an attack on the promo because the
Mhm.
headliner needs to get the notice. But I was telling them, I was like, no, you need to see that as like a a plus, because they're bringing more promotion to the show. And regardless of it's up to the bands to make their spots important.
Yeah, for sure.
And more
And
people at the show means more for every band there, regardless.
yeah, like, it's a good thing for everyone in the end. It's just at that point, it's more of like an ego problem than anything else. Like, if they have a problem with it, I mean.
I got to show this off. My girlfriend just completed a back patch. She's been hand painting it for like days now.
That's awesome.
Her favorite band is Ice Nine Kills, and
Nice.
like, gotta say, I'm not a clean vocals kind of guy.
Okay, sure.
It's not my thing. You know, I know a lot of bands that do it really well. Shout out to Skepsis from Edmonton. They throw down really hard. But Ice Nine Kills, I was like, I'm not too into it. But then I was kind of drunk one night, and like, me and my buddy ate some mushrooms, and I hadn't seen him for a couple of years. I was like, let's check this video out. So we checked it out, and they kill it. They really tear
Yeah.
it up. Their videos are awesome. Their stage shows are awesome. Like, their
Hmm.
themes and imagery is all killer. And it's all you have to do is make sure you snap a couple pictures and shoot a video and make sure they're all running through like half-ass same color scheme, and you got yourself a little bit of a solid image running up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, branding doesn't have to be this like huge, scary thing. Like, even you were mentioning at the beginning of this podcast, like for Carcosa, like, all we really did to change up the brand for Nihilus was we just were like, let's just use a different color. Like, that's I mean, like obviously there was art and other stuff with that, but like the main theme was like we're gonna use green instead of yellow, and like even just that slight difference, like all that was different was the color. It for whatever reason like helps people's brain be like, this is something new, this is different.
It is though, it is because you're releasing it with a new piece of music too. You're releasing it with a new piece of content, and when you do those custom drops like that, and you do those limited drops, and people can get a part of that limited drop, and then they show it to their buddies, like, did you get that piece? It makes them feel like they're a part of something bigger, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
And you guys,
and like again, like we probably won't do green maybe ever again, if not ever again, then like a very long time. So like if you see, our hope or our thought was like if you see someone wearing like a green Carcosa thing, it's like, well, like you know that they fucked with us during the nihilist era, I guess you could say. And I know for fans, like they love that shit. Like same with like Spirit Box. Like I have like some really old Spirit Box shirts from like when they first launched in 2017. And when I wear those, like I get comments from people being like, whoa, like I've never seen that Spirit Box shirt before. Like where'd you get it?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah.
I'm not telling you ever.
Exactly.
Go away. You must.
But yeah, people love that shit. And like it doesn't have to be necessarily this big, like intense identity change or something like that. It can, sometimes it's as simple as changing what color is your primary color and like just something to change it up, you know? And like Ice Nine Kills, is you know, obviously they do like a whole bunch of stuff. Like I don't know too much about them, but I know they focus everything around horror movies, I think.
Yes, they do. The video that I saw was it was American Psycho, and the singer fucking chopped up the guy from Papa Roach with an axe, and I was like, all right, this is slick.
Yeah, and like, and not the same band, but I had the same experience recently. Again, shout out to Nick, because me and Johnny were doing one of his like Friday streams where he checks out new music, and the Friday we did with him just so happened to be the week that Motionless in White's new album came out. And that was a band that I've heard of them forever, but I never really listened to them because I don't know, maybe I judged the book by the cover. And I was like,
I did too. I was like, okay, they look like it's gonna be heavy for a minute, and then it looks like it's gonna be like operatic and like sad boy stuff.
Like it just didn't, for whatever reason, their image
Chris
made
Motionless
me
throws down
not. Yeah, but then, you know, again, Nick showed us a few of his songs on stream, so I had no choice. I had to listen to them. And then I found out, like, this is actually fucking awesome. Like, I don't know why I spent all these years being like, I probably won't like it. I won't even bother. When it's like, damn, I missed out on so much good music just because I don't know, misjudged it. And in a way, that's cool too.
You got to be real though. There's those times where, and I do it too. Like, so what kills it for me is like if I see a band promoting a lot, and I'll stay away from the promo for like, I'll see if these guys are hot in a month.
Fair enough.
And then if they are, or in like the case of a band like Motionless in White, it's that era type, right? Like you can't beat 2006 fucking deathcore, Suicide Silence, Suffocate, right? Like my buddy posted a poster, and I was like, that show would have crunched hard.
Yeah.
But when it comes to newer bands, it's like I want to see if they're hot or if they're just like if they just paid for a good promotion and then they're not going to run with it after. And a lot of the time I check them out and it's like, okay, so this band is good, the production's really good, but there's something about the music where you can tell like they're holding back. You can tell they're fresh musicians, or like they're trying something new to see if it's going to hit, and you can tell like there's just something, you put the pepper on there, but you didn't get that salt in there for the taste, you know? Like,
right, I guess,
so, and then you got to like, it's really good production, it's really good promo. I hope to see some more from this band instead of obviously just crapping on bands that you don't like, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because the last
and like, especially for like, you know, your band's first EP or whatever, like up until you're 3 years into your band, like you're still really like figuring out what you're even doing or what you want to do. Like, you know, even for us, like the only reason that Carcosa, well, not the only reason, but a big reason why Carcosa's like first EP seemed so like well put together and all that
spent a lot of time on
is because we put a lot of fucking time in, and is the same 4 people and we were already in a different band. So like I feel like we spent a lot of time with Galactic where we were kind of like figuring out what the fuck we were doing. And then by the time we figured it out, we were like, well, why? You know, it would make more sense to just start something completely new.
It's Carcosa
and
time, baby.
And then come into the gate swinging, like knowing what we know now. So that's what we decided to do ultimately. There's more reasons than that, obviously, but that's like the easy version of the story. And, you know, so like, that's the other thing too. Speaking of, this is jumping back a little bit, but we were talking about getting discouraged too. Is like I know a lot of people in like up and coming bands get really discouraged because they think that, you know, bands like, again, let's just keep using Spirit Box as an example. Like they're like, oh, Spirit Box came out of nowhere and just blew up, and it's like, well, not really. Like, you know, they were in. Two of them were in I Wrestle the Bear ones. You know, Bill, who's no longer in the band, but he was in A Textbook Tragedy, Living with Lions. Like, they were all in a lot of other bands that were already successful. Exactly. And, like, they used all of that knowledge to make this. Like, it didn't just come out of thin air. You just weren't aware. And that's okay, too.
For people who don't remember, Fallen Archaea was big 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And they still didn't crack. They still didn't crack. You know, they broke up because bigger opportunities, not because like they couldn't handle it, but because they were on that path of growth. And now they're finally able to say, because they stuck it out, they worked through it, they didn't complain about random stuff that they thought were holding them back. They just kept making it work, and now it's working on the big scale. Now they're on the cutting fucking edge of new heavy music.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, like Spirit Box and Ginger and like bands like that. Poppy is another good one too. I haven't really heard much from her for the last little bit though, but those are bands that are like, they're pushing the boundaries of what this extreme music can do while still keeping it very fucking extreme. And that doesn't, it takes work. It takes time.
For
like
sure.
you gotta let the technology catch up with the ideas too, in a sense, you know, like a lot of people, like I can say in my new band, we're experimenting with some digital stuff, some digital interludes and intros and stuff on our new EP. And we're really pumped about it. Whether people like it or not, we're really excited to see if it's something that gets people talking. If it's something that makes people say, wow, we weren't expecting this, you know, even if they're like, wow, we weren't expecting this, it's terrible, I don't like it. And then because we know it's going to be something different that is going to attract people, because it's not what anybody was expecting. And, you know, like you were saying too, 3 years. 3 years is what it usually takes to get that good run. You know, you got a back catalog. If you're releasing music appropriately, you got a back catalog that people can come to and listen to and like chew on while you're in the process of releasing new content, so that they can become fans and stick with you. And I catch myself with getting the FOMO sometimes, you know, because I see my friends doing shows and I see promoters announcing shows. But my guitarist, Joel, he always knocks me down a notch. He's always able to, like, because he just got his new job and I'm really stoked for him. He's kicking ass. He's a tech guy. So he's like right into it. And he's like, I asked him about doing a show, maybe playing a show a little further up the line from where we were at. Because I want to do a makeup show, because we pulled off a bill for one of my promoter friends. So he's like, just so you know, like I don't want to do maybe a show closer to like November, December, because I want to lock into the new job. I want to make sure that I'm get back into my routine, and I don't want to be pressured or stressed with anything else. We're gonna work on our album, work on our EP, work on some new content. And I was like, you're totally right. We'll do that. Let's do that, because that's still just as valuable as if we were playing a handful of shows all over the place, because that's gonna get everybody stoked and hyped and know that when they see us play a show, it's gonna be something that's exciting. It's gonna be an event, not just another show.
Yeah, and like, you know, we in our previous band, like we definitely fell victim to that as well, where like we would just take any and every show offer that we got, because we were like, fuck, playing shows is fun, who cares? When
you also think that playing shows and selling merch all the time and getting in front of people's faces is the way to do it.
Yeah, but you know, now we know that it actually probably would have been more worth it to not do as many shows, to make it so that when we did do shows, it was more of like a special event. Like people are like, you know, like, oh, Carcosa only plays in Vancouver once a year, or whatever the case may be, right? Like that is far more likely to make that one show be way more successful. Whereas like you could have done basically, let's say you do 4 instead, you could have done 4 times the amount of work for kind of the same result, or just have the one really big show that make it really special and make sure you have even more music for that or something like that. And it's just a different way to think about it, right? Not saying like one way is better or worse, but I don't know, just a different way to think about it, I guess.
Well, it depends on what your goals are as a band, you know. And this is one thing that I ask people when they want to work with me and they want a couple of tips and some direction. What are your goals as a band? And a lot of bands, they haven't really sat down and thought about that, because is your goal to become a career musician that makes money off of their brand and their product, or is your goal to play some shows and eventually and hopefully play some festivals and play some bigger shows, and not really aim for touring, not really aim for brand, any specific sort of branding, or like trying to build a career off of it, just trying to have some good times, because both of those things they're both valuable and viable goals, but they both take more than just playing a couple shows here and there and hawking your merch to your buddies that come to your shows,
For sure.
And it takes a little bit of building, and it takes a little bit of like trial and error, and it takes some social. You got to have at least one guy in the band. This is a big thing. You got to have at least one guy in the band who's going to talk to people and be stoked about the band when they talk to people, and not feel discouraged every time somebody doesn't want to hear about their band.
Yeah, for sure.
Because to build a fan base and to just like get people to come to shows, those are two different things. One is very short term and one is very long term, and one doesn't happen overnight, and one you might have to make happen overnight.
Yeah. And that's like something that is definitely important for bands to think about, like even just like what are your goals. Like even again for us, like with Galactic Pegasus, our previous band, like we kind of realized we didn't really know what we wanted, and that was part of the reason why for the last few years of that band, like we felt very much like it didn't really seem to matter what we did. We kind of just felt like we were staying in the same place. Like it felt like we were spinning our wheels. Like I was like, I don't really know what's going on, because like we're still releasing new music, we're still kind of playing shows, but like it feels like we're not progressing. So it kind of took us stepping back and being like, okay, like what are we actually trying to do here? And that made us realize like a bunch of other problems, or not problems, but like areas where we wanted to shift focus or change or whatever. And sometimes you just need to think about that, and you just might not even know you didn't know that until you talk about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's get to the chat here for a sec. Couchmaster, if you're still watching, we haven't done the 200 follower giveaway because we just hit 200 followers today. So now I get to put together the giveaway package and figure out how I'm going to give it away, because it's gonna have a bunch of merch in it. It's gonna have a bunch of cool stuff in it. So Enthio Genie says that's what my band wants to do, just to show here and there so that they don't oversaturate themselves. That's one we hear a lot too, oversaturation.
Yes.
Beer Brew Babe, Tanis, my friend Tanis, says she would rather see one epic show. And she says she skips so many shows because she knows she'll just see them again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the similar sentiment as the person who was talking about oversaturation, right? Like, I mean, I think we all know, like, or have known, like, a local band that it's like, okay, yeah, like, oh, I can't come this time, but they'll probably play next month or whatever. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I've always tried to keep that in mind as well, because, again, when I was younger and didn't know as much, we definitely were guilty of that, where we were like, I don't know, we're playing a show every month, fuck it. And, sooner or later, you're going to realize like, oh, well, nobody's coming to our shows anymore because
not just that,
they've already seen us, or
you're not getting the offer for the bigger bands either, because promoters know that like you've already played a show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And like, well, we got to look back on the name too, Galactic Pegasus, right? When you're writing deathcore with a name like Galactic Pegasus, like that's some bright imagery.
It was a little weird for sure.
Sick name, and like the chops in the band definitely reflected it. Like when I hear Galactic Pegasus, I'm like Tech Death.
Yeah, and it was not that.
Like, this is tech death for sure, you know? And I know one of your old vocalists, Andrew Hockley, he was a sick vocalist too, like super sick vocalist. And like, let's just say Galactic Pegasus just didn't provide the imagery of the music, you know?
For
Carcosa is bang on point. So you guys are really killing it. And like, here, I gotta ask you this too. What is your favorite piece of merch to release?
Oh, like something we've already released, or just in general?
In general, like physical, like a physical thing, and like a piece of clothing.
Okay. Ooh. I don't know. I feel like a hoodie is always my favorite because, you know, you can fucking wear a hoodie with anything.
I gotta say,
especially being in Canada. Yeah.
Before we go any further with that, those fucking ice cream pastel hoodies.
Oh yeah.
With the iridescent. I messaged my merch guy and I was like, "How do we do this? How do we do this?" And he found the hoodies, and he's like, I'm pretty sure that's a heat press or like a low cure ink. He's like, "We can do that. We just gotta figure it out." I'm like, "Sweet." Sweet, because I want to drop what these guys are dropping, bro. It'll be a little bit expensive, but hey, man, what the fans want, they'll get. They'll fucking get. If they want it, they'll pay for it. And like, if they want it, we want to get it for them, because that's what it's all about. Getting the fans what they want, so they can be like, my band, the band I like got this piece of merch, and I'm really stoked on it because I was really hoping they would, you know?
Yeah.
I was really excited about that pre-order. I waited for it. I was telling all my homies about it. I was showing all my homies, and it's like, I want to get on that, because we do have, you know, we're growing our fan base. We do have a couple of fans like that are super stoked. I actually just came up with a name for them here earlier in the week, and they're called the Mosh Monsters. And we got a handful of people that come to shows and they start the mosh pits for us.
Nice.
Because if there's one thing I've seen lacking at local shows, it's really solid mosh pits. And our band makes everybody move from the start of our set to the finish. And that's what I'm really grateful for, because our goal as a band is to be entertaining and to see how many people we can reach with that entertainment while still having a good time. And the goal of the shows is to have fun. We're not about making the most intense music. We're not about cutting the razor like Spirit Box. You know, we're not trying to push the envelope as far as writing music goes, but we're trying to push the envelope as far as like getting that crowd going goes.
Well, and like even it's not fun to play to a crowd that's not moving. Like I was saying before we started the podcast, like we were very grateful that we got to play those shows, but our first two shows were, you know, during peak COVID, where everyone had to be seated and it was half capacity. And like at the time it was fun because we had never played a show as Carcosa before, but playing to people that are sitting completely still just watching you is not nearly as fun as playing and looking out and seeing people just like beat the fuck out of each other. That's way better.
It's true. Now see, I don't know if you see it the same way as me, but like going from the toxic band atmosphere that I had before to what I have now, I'm very much in the mind of like, I research bands, I watch their having the podcast and stuff, you know, I watch the videos, I see what these bands are doing to see what I can do differently to kind of maximize on every opportunity. And I can say that if I had a show, like, because for me, it's every chance we get is the chance to knock it off, right off. And that's why we like opening shows. We're the new band too, so we know we have to pay our dues. It doesn't matter how long we've been in other bands or whatever. We're still the new guys. We don't, like, whether I promote a bunch of people or not, I don't expect them to give me spots on any of their shows or on any of whatever just because I promote them on my show. You know, that's not why I do this. So to be the new guys on the block, we bring that fucking heat. I like to say 5 or 5,000. 5 people or 5,000 people, whether it's just the other bands watching us or whether we got that fucking place rocking, we're going to fucking kill it. And I would have, if I had seated shows, I would have been like, all right, guys, this is a perfect opportunity to set up some fucking cameras and get this fucking perfectly fucking filmed and then chop it up and then suck that audio off of it. And then we got a live album and then blah, content.
Sure,
content,
yeah,
right?
for sure, yeah.
And this is the thing. It's like I try to do it for my own band, and I'm like, I get that imposter syndrome again. I'm like, oh, I want to do this for other bands instead. You know?
Yeah.
But I
We'll see
know,
how it goes with them first. You know?
yeah, you know, it's like I want to make sure that these other bands think it's really cool that they're having it done before my band thinks it's really cool. And like in my mind,
Yeah.
I feel, you know, I know it's cool. I know that my fans want it. And that's another thing, you know, all 70 of our fans, there's a solid 70 of them, though, a really solid 70 of them. And they really like our stuff. And they're not afraid to tell us. And it's a good feeling to know that there are people listening. And with the way the internet is now, COVID pushed that technology ahead by a couple of years, you know? Like, I got a new computer, and now I'm able to stream in whatever I want, you know, at whatever speed.
For sure.
And that made it possible for bands to, like, do stuff all over the world together.
Yep, definitely. I mean, like, same for Carcosa. Like, we did everything for basically 2 years, pretty much remotely from each other. And like, we didn't necessarily want to do it that way, but we also were not going to be like, okay, well, we'll just wait a year. Like, no, fuck that. We had shit to do, and we'll figure it out.
Tell them,
So-
Baena. Say that again, please. Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
No time for waiting, people.
Yes.
Um,
Don't make
but
fucking
yeah, so
excuses when it's right there in front of you to
Yeah.
get it.
Exactly. And like, some of it wasn't necessarily ideal, but we still made the most of it. Like, for what was it, for the anthology album we did, you know, like, because we weren't really able to see each other as much as we wanted to, we were like, well, fuck, what's the best way we can release new music, or like the most new music in a way that makes sense? And some of it was a bit of a compromise where, you know, normally what we would like to do is we'd all like to get together in a room and write together, but we weren't allowed to. So we're like, okay, well, whatever. Like, luckily for us, we have 3 people in the band who all are fully capable of writing and recording by themselves. So that pretty much ended up being like, Johnny wrote a song by himself, Cooper wrote a song by himself, and then we wrote one song with all 3 of us together. And that basically ended up being the 3 new songs. Like, in a perfect world, we would have written all 3 together, but like, you know what? Hey, it's better that way than having no new music at all. So fuck it, it's fine.
That's a great story too. Like, that's a really great way to. That's a good thing to put in like the liner notes and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we wrote these all together in mindset, but like apart physically, and this is what you guys get. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And then what we decided to do was, since we didn't have enough music for a full album, but we had an EP from the previous year, we're like, well, why don't we just combine these 3 new songs plus an interlude? So basically 4 songs with the 5 other songs we already had, but to make it interesting and like at least a little bit different than what we've already done, why don't we take the 5 older songs and replace Johnny's vocals on all of them for a section to have guest vocals in each song?
Or just
So that's
replace
kind of
them with like a duck.
Yeah, that would be even better. But yeah, so, you know, just like any idea to like keep shit moving, whether it was like, okay, well, we can't physically meet up, we can't play shows,
But we gotta
what can
work.
we do? We have to do something, right? And you know, I don't know, sometimes that's when you come up with your best ideas, is like you have to figure something out, and it forces you in a way to come up with other ideas that you might not have even thought of.
Exactly. Like, I hear a lot of people who say they're stuck because they don't have any inspiration. And, you know, I'm one of these people too. But I'm also one of the people who digs in to try and figure out a way around things, you know? And what I find is a lot of artists that are like working artists, like journalists, comic book artists, what's another one, like movie editors and newspapers, like the ones who usually have to pump out artistic forms on a regular basis, they all say, you know, like, you can't wait for inspiration. You usually come up with the inspiration after you start working. And I can say this because I work in the trades full time, and my best ideas come to me while I'm at work, while I'm moving around, while I'm getting stuff done, you know, while my body is in motion. And then my brain floats through like the ocean of thoughts and like picks some up along the way, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And hopefully I like feel inspired enough to pick my phone up and like jot a note down and then try to
Yeah.
remember it
Voice
when I get
notes.
home. Yeah, exactly. On a job site, why is your guy always on the phone? No. He's just working his other job.
He's just talking to himself, actually.
They
for
wouldn't
sure.
be surprised by that. They wouldn't be surprised. Oh, let's go into the chats here again. Loud as Hell, fucking guitar players says, Loud as Hell will be our third show in Drumheller. We need to branch out. But that's also, again, new band. Being from Drumheller, you know, I'm going to be helping them get some shows out here in Calgary and helping them branch out because that's what I do. I love to do that. I want to get this scene popping off again, and that means getting bands out to shows. Tanis also says booty shorts. I'll be rocking on them booty shorts.
I've wanted to do booty shorts for so long, and it hasn't happened yet. But I would love to. But we'll see.
Got to do the camo ones with the orange.
Sorry.
You got to do the camo ones with the orange logo.
That'd be cool.
Right?
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity to do it. Like even just change our logo to like be like Carcosa or something.
Oh,
but I don't know.
Something good. You put the.
I'm sure it can be done.
That C's got a really nice shape to it.
Yeah, exactly. Put like inverted ones on each cheek or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that'd be sweet. I definitely would love to do something like that.
Carcosa rolling papers from my friend Mags.
We did that.
Yeah, she said that they were awesome. She loves weird.
Oh, good. Fuck yeah. I'm happy to hear that. I don't really smoke weed that much, so I haven't tried them, but I've heard from a few people that they like them, so hell yeah.
Right on. Fucking rights. I'd have to say, I got a couple. I like the bucket hats because they're fucking banging. And like Johnny C rocks a bucket hat extra hard. I actually got a funny Johnny C story. I'll get to that in a sec.
Okay.
Another one is windbreakers. I love windbreakers. Windbreakers are my nice coats.
Yeah.
I started doing security at events now, and I can wear a windbreaker doing security, and I got a Powerman 5000 one. That is
Nice.
just the fucking cat's ass. Then I got a Mudvayne windbreaker, an LD50 windbreaker.
Nice. Fuck
Yeah, I picked that up at the local shop here, and
Nice.
super rad. I was so stoked when I found it. I'm a big old school Mudvayne fan. I hope they come out with some new music. They're touring again.
Yeah, they did. Didn't they do like a couple festival appearances this summer? Yeah.
They were on tour with Rob Zombie and with Powerman 5000.
Okay. Oh,
And
cool.
they did a whole bunch of festivals. Like the festival scene in the States is popping off again like crazy. They've been doing lots of side-by-side stage festivals.
Yeah.
And it's been pissing off Dave Mustaine, I tell you what.
I saw that, yeah.
Sweats.
Yeah.
I love sweats. They're so rad to have a nice big logo running down your sweats. Pig Destroyer did a drop not too long ago. I was back just at the start of the new year, and they dropped pink tie-dye crew neck and a pink tie-dye pair of sweats. And I was like,
Nice.
fuck, I need to buy that so I can wear it during our first show. I want to wear that during our first show. But it ended up coming out to like $230 after shipping, and it was an American dollar. So I thought I was getting it for a deal. No, I was not. I was like, I cannot. Like I have a child to feed. I cannot spend $200 on 2 pieces of clothing. Baena, as much as I would love to.
That's fair.
I can't bootleg because I work for a merch company and I'm in a band, and like I just can't do. I could do it, but I'm not gonna do it because it's just too dirty. My drummer, Russ, he's the guy. I don't know if you've seen any of our pictures or promos. I don't expect you to, so you don't have to feel bad by saying no. But he wears a Casey Jones mask when he plays drums, and we're doing what's fun with this band. If we have a laugh and it feels good, we're throwing it in the band because that's what it's all about. So we can have a laugh when we're telling people. And Russ says, thanks for introducing the band Volumes via your Albums of the Year video. They're a great band.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Carcosa is fucking great. Easily my favorite Canadian deathcore band.
Ben, thank you so much. I'm happy that you like Volumes. They're one of my favorite bands, and I was excited to talk about that band. I love them. They were like a huge inspiration for Galactic Pegasus for sure. Not so much anymore because Carcosa is a little different, but I still really like them.
Very rad. Volumes is definitely sick. I remember I remember. So if you've noticed the trends in band names and stuff, so
Yeah.
you get like bands like Volumes and Structures and
Yeah,
like
definitely.
another one from back in the day of like the same style with a little bit of a different name was like Scale the Summit.
Monuments.
Monuments.
Yeah.
And then you get the ones that take the vowels out of their names.
Yeah.
You got
With like the V.
yeah. You got Victims.
Mm-hmm.
Victims, which is just 5 letters. That's that name.
Yeah.
And that word is not supposed to be 5 letters. I don't know if you've heard of this band from Edmonton. They're good friends of mine. They're called With Conviction.
I don't think I've heard of them before.
I definitely say check them out.
Okay.
I know that you check out lots of bands and like you're always working. So like I don't want to just give you a list of bands and say check them out because I want to tell people to go to your stream and like, hey, Chuck Baena a little bit of pocket change and he'll play your song on the stream for everybody. Like that's the optimal way to do it, you know? And that's what I'm going to do with my band. I'm going to make you listen to a whole Horrify song on stream. I am.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
I'm gonna because honestly, I would really love to hear what you think first of all. I would really love to hear what your audience thinks, whether it's good or bad. We take that because our stuff, if people are gonna say it's bad, it's not gonna be an abusive type of bad. They're just not gonna like our stuff, you know?
Sure, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we're not worried about that. We can use that as a meme. We can meme that and we can kick that off because we are a joke. The band started as a joke. It's Horrify with a W, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
and that's what was the whole thing was like, I got a band. We're called Horrify, but with a W. And then because we're hardcore, and it goes back to that whole stylistic names thing. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we do it like metal bands do it. Even though there's like no other bands that are doing that kind of stuff, it's just kind of stupid, right?
Yeah, whatever.
But now we're playing music, and I would really like to know what somebody of your caliber thinks about it. But we're moving on from that. We're talking about these bands that are really killing it in the scene, and I'd say check out With Conviction. They're really good. They're high production. They put a lot of work into their music. They're really like killer people. Also, my buddy Sabian also does a stream for the band every week. They do their With Conviction show, and he's promoting other bands too. They got a playlist with local bands on it. I don't think they actually put my band on it, and I promote, and I'm like, that's okay. I can take that. Whatever. I guess you guys don't actually like us. No. It's actually because we haven't released new music since last October, and I understand that. That's okay. So we're clearing up to the end of the show here. I don't want to keep you for too long. I know we could probably ramble for hours and hours, but I would like to ask you to come back on the show in the future, and possibly bring on another band member. I'm gonna try and hit up Johnny C about an Angel Maker interview.
Nice, yeah.
Because obviously you guys are the dream team, right? But it would just be too easy to get you guys together. I want to know the other guys because I watched you guys' videos every time they drop, and the videos are hilarious. And I want to meet the other guys too. So next time I'll reach out to you in a couple of months. After the next couple drops, and I'll see how you guys are doing. We'll see if we can set up one with the band. Oh,
yeah,
the Johnny C story. Okay, so I don't know if he remembers this, but Angel Maker played at this shitty bar here. Well, it's not shitty. It's actually very close to my heart. It's called Vern's. It was the place where my band played our first show. Both my bands. And Angel Maker came down and played a show. And the guys were hanging out in the back in the van, and I was in the back getting stoned, smoking some bowls, and I was like, hey, do you guys want to smoke any weed? And I'm pretty sure this was Johnny, because Johnny doesn't look like a lot of the other guys in his band. And,
no, not quite.
I was pretty hammed up. at the time too, but I was getting baked like nonstop with one of the members of Angel Maker, and I think it was Johnny C. And like they were all super nice, super rad dudes, and I could be totally wrong. Like Johnny C might not smoke weed at all.
Yeah, that's actually he doesn't smoke weed at all, so it wasn't him.
Right? So like. I just remember, and that's another thing too. I am not afraid to totally correct these stories, okay? Because these happened years ago, and I've cleaned up my act since then. I got a lot of foggy stories with misrepresented people, I bet. Like, lots.
Fair enough. Me too.
So I appreciate you correcting me on that. But I smoked a lot of weed with one of the guys in Angel Maker. I don't know if he's still in the band or not, but I would definitely like to do that again. And I'm going to have lots of weed at Loud as Hell this weekend. I'm going to have my tent set up. I'm going to be doing, like, off-the-cuff interviews, you know, whoever wants to do it. I got a couple of bands that are ready to do it, and, you know, a couple of people, if they want to jump in, that's going to be awesome. We're going to be going around asking about people's shirts.
Okay. Like Jared Dine style video?
Yes, that's exactly it. And it's going to be, hey, man, kind of shirt you got? Let's hear about your shirt. Let's hear those 3 songs. You know 3 songs? Yeah. If you don't know 3 songs, you got to take that shirt off. You can't wear that for the festival. Like, I'm sorry, that's the rules, man.
Yeah.
No, it's not the rules. It's definitely not the rules. Anybody can
for the sake of this video, it is. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nobody actually cares.
For the sake of the joke, man.
Yeah.
You gotta ride it out. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course.
Let me talk your ear off, and let me name drop a couple of bands that I hope will stick in your ear. And, you know, everybody who stayed and watched, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate you guys coming to the show. I always do. This is the last stream for the week, though, because we're heading out to Loud as Hell Thursday afternoon. My band is opening the whole entire festival, and we are going to set that bar really, really high, but still probably pretty low below the headliners. There's even some solid support. Like, we got Wake coming out, too, and they are absolute monsters. They've been touring relentlessly since the COVID restrictions were pulled off. Since March, they've just been killing it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. If there's anything you wanted to say that you think we missed talking about, if there's anything you wanted to drop, any sort of shout-outs, lay them down for me, buddy. The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for having me too. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person this weekend. I'm looking forward to playing Loud as Hell if any of the viewers are coming to that. Fuck yeah.
Yes.
Thank you in advance for coming. We're releasing a new song tomorrow, which probably will be out in not in your time zone quite yet, but in like an hour in your time zone. I think it should be out. It's called Restless. The music video will be up tomorrow morning. It is a difficult subject matter to watch, but an important one. So I hope you guys like the video and song. Don't go into it expecting memes like our last video. It's not a funny video at all, very serious, but I hope it resonates with some of you.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we'll hopefully see some of you at Loud as Hell, and thanks for having me on.
You will definitely see me there, buddy. I will be hard to miss. I kind of made it that way.
Perfect.
I'm also like the loudest guy around. I'm also the biggest jackass. You know, yeah. We'll meet each other for sure, buddy. I'm really excited for it. But I'm also the kind of guy who knows how to take a hint and be like, hey, man, we're busy. Leave us alone. I've learned over the years. It took a bit to learn, but I've learned. Yeah, it took a while, but I've got it down pat now, and I don't take none of that stuff to heart. I'm the guy that goes into the back, and they're like, "Oh, well, I got to do this." It's like, no, you don't got. I'm already out. I know you got to work.
Perfect. Yeah. No worries. I'm looking forward to meeting you, man.
Hell yeah, buddy! It's gonna be a great time. Hopefully, the sun is not too angry with us.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the sand fleas have had their fucking couple of cows to eat before the weekend, before they fucking eat the 1,000 or so people that descend on the fucking grounds.
Yeah.
And I wish you safe travels on your way to Alberta. And hell yeah, buddy! I'm very, very stoked for the Carcosa set. Is it all right? Do I have your guys' permission to get some footage for the show?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Beautiful.
Only if you send it to us, though.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Without a doubt. You guys will get it first. You guys will get it before I do any uploads. So I always got to ask now, because I had a mishap recently where I thought a photographer of mine was going to be able to shoot Cradle of Filth, and they weren't able to. So now I make a point of asking before I even bring it up to anybody I'm going to be working with.
Well, I appreciate you asking, but yeah, we would love that. We're always stoked to see footage, because I don't know about you, but when I play, I kind of like
Yeah.
I almost black out. Like I'm like, I think we did good. I don't fucking know. Like I'm just like tunnel vision. I'm like, ah.
You do good.
So I like seeing the footage.
I watched the videos from Armstrong, and you guys killed it. You're like, you know,
Thank you.
you know how to work a stage. You know how to work a stage really well. And a lot of bands, they pick a square and they stand in it and they don't go outside of it. And it's like, oof, that's not how you got to practice that. You got to practice that.
Yeah.
So,
well, to be fair, as you know as well, usually when you're used to the much smaller stages, having a stage that you can actually move on is a treat.
you want to put it to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even my guitar player, who's not really like our fourth show, like opening for Cradle of Filth, that was his fourth show ever being in a band, period. And he still fucking moved. I'm blown away by this guy every day. I hope you get to, you won't be able to meet Joel because Joel's got his prior responsibilities. Regardless of his work, he's got a new baby too. She's an absolute sweetheart. So thank you so much, Baena. Let's kill this episode before we get into another hour chatting it up, man. We can keep going. Good. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it at Loud as Hell this weekend.
Definitely.
So, cheers, buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you out at Loud as Hell. I'll be out there Thursday afternoon for everybody coming. So, thank you so much for watching. Cheers, guys. Have a great night.